Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Happy live. The rain is gone and the sun is out. After what feels like weeks, I think it was weeks minus the odd day here and there, but hopefully you guys are enjoying the sun and change in the weather forecast for this week. I will do my normal, which is answer your guys' questions as well as go over what's been happening in the real estate world and go over happy news. I hope you guys are all safe and smiling and being kind to one another. I will start first with a question from Katie and Gravenhurst. Again, you guys can write questions in the chat, or I will just answer ones from the previous week. I apologize for my casual behavior. I don't have any appointments today that I have to be outside, just on the phone and computer, so hence my messy bun and sweater. So, sorry, deal with it. So the first question comes from Katie and Gravenhurst. Katie said, I saw you do a live at a cottage that looks like it had a flood. Do you think it would be possible to get financing on a property in that shape? Thank you, Katie, for asking. It would definitely be harder. So banks like things in good or better than good condition. And obviously that one is not, since you watched the video. Some B lenders will touch it and say, okay, we just want you to put more down, or we want to guarantee that in a certain amount of time, you have stuff done. So sometimes they'll want to see your plan. So they'll want to see like contracts with contractors, and it shows like, okay, in 1 month this is going to be done, in 3 months this is going to be done, in 6 months this is going to be done, and so forth. Sometimes they'll give you money towards it, so it'll be like your mortgage plus improvements, but they'll give it to you in draws. So that just depends on your credit and so forth. Some people can't get it, some people can. Other people strictly have to go through a private lender just to get the financing. So it really depends, to be honest, on your financial situation and the lender. So they might just make you put more down, or they might not deal with it at all, unfortunately. Hi guys, hope you're well. Happy Wednesday, so I'm glad it's not raining. Okay, so I'm just going to do some happy news before I get into the real estate. So there was an 11-year-old boy that basically was told that he would never speak. Obviously he was a baby, but his parents were told that. He had this thing I've never heard of, I'm probably going to not say it properly, is Moebius Syndrome, which means he has like facial and oral paralysis, so he can't talk on his own, he can't breathe on his own, and he can't eat on his own, which was obviously hard growing up. And his family multiple times a day would have to resuscitate him, and then eventually he started to talk, and recently he won a speech contest and he got $5,000, and he gave it all to his local children's hospital, which I thought was super cute, as did Disney, because Disney somehow heard about it, and they featured him and 13 other kids in this book, and it's called Tales of Courage and Kindness. And so it's like a fairy tale type thing for kids to read to, hopefully inspire them to do kindness as well. And he said he gave all the money to that children's hospital because, which was in the UK, by the way, because he doesn't want the sick children or their parents feeling sad or lonely. So that was super cute. The next question comes from Dean and Barry. And Dean says, oops, oh yeah, there it is. Do you think there will be less bidding wars in the fall? Thank you, Dean, for asking. And yeah, because most people don't like to move in the fall or buy in the fall, because let's just say they buy in September, October. That normally makes like a November or December closing. And just assuming you are, I forget where it said you were, close by, you're going to have snow. So most people don't like to move with a foot or two of snow. So it always slows down at that time, just because people don't like to move at that time, and they like to move in the summer to get their kids sorted before school. Whether it's going to be homeschooled or not, they just tend to like to move in the summer. It's just an easier time. They can usually take more time off work and so forth. So there will for sure be less bidding wars in the fall, but doesn't mean that prices are going to drop. Let's just say somebody wanted $829 instead of say listing at $699. They're probably just going to list at $835 or $825 or $850 or what have you. So don't expect like, oh, the houses are going to be worth less money then, okay? So I'm not sure if that was really what you were asking, but hopefully that answers that. So there was a super sweet man out in Alberta, and he's 79 years old, going on 80, and he went into this hair school in Alberta, and he basically said he wanted somebody to teach him how to do hair and makeup. And right away, like somebody came over and started to talk to him, and they found out that, because I would think like maybe his wife, my first thoughts went to maybe his wife was a hairstylist and maybe she was sick during COVID and she couldn't do it and he wanted to like help out with her clients or something. That's where my head went. But turns out she kept burning herself because her vision wasn't the greatest. So he wanted to learn how to do her hair and curl it for her and as well do her mascara. So they taught him, which was super cute. And since then he has been in there with his wife to thank them and just visit and say hello. They've been married for over 50 years. So I always like that is cute. Hope you guys are well. Next question comes from Gabby in Phelpston. Gabby in Phelpston says, a home near me sold for $960,000. We have a pool. Our home is very similar. How much more do you think that adds for us? Thank you, Gabby, for asking. To be honest, like before COVID, I'd say like in 2018 or 2019, some people would say if it was like an average pool, it would add $30,000. If it was like a super fancy backyard with all of the, not interlock, I can't think of those massive, massive stones names like the huge ones, armor stone, that's it. If it had like that and, you know, not to say a tiki bar, but like a pool shed, etc., like it wasn't just your basic pool, that would add 130 for normal. And then other people will be like, how much is it to fill it in? Because they don't care about a pool. But since COVID, people are paying a lot more for pools because they can't take their kids to Great Wolf Lodge. They can't take their kids to Wonderland. It's questionable if they're going to be able to go camping or not. Who knows, obviously, depending on what's going on with regulations and rules. So they want something to do with their kids. So pools have skyrocketed. Sometimes people are spending $70,000 more for pools. Sometimes they're spending $200,000 more for pools. That's really unknown. You just have to test the market, but it's awesome for you that you have a pool, especially if you want to sell. So thank you for asking that, Gabby. And one more thing before the real estate. So in 2009, there was this moving company, and what they noticed was a lot of people that they were moving they were throwing out a lot of food. And I'm guilty of it myself as well. Like it's like things in the freezer and you don't want to move them, or they're not going to get there in time and they're going to go mushy or what have you. So basically what they started to do was team up with moving companies across Canada and the United States. They started obviously small, but it was over a decade ago. So now if you're moving, you can contact this company, and it's called Move for Hunger, and they will bring you bags and boxes and so forth, and you just put any groceries in it that you don't want, and they take it to a local food charity or shelter, etc., which I thought was awesome. So they do like thousands of pounds every week of food that they help and give back to other people that otherwise would have just been tossed. So I like that. So I'm going to say about like update for real estate, what's been going on, but just first a mortgage reminder. So on the first of every month, we give $2,500 to somebody in Simcoe County. So this past Saturday was the first, and a lady in Innisfil won. She was nominated by her neighbor who heard our ad on Spotify. So as long as the person lives in Simcoe County and they're over the age of 18, and we don't tell their personal story, whatever you tell us. So just email us either a video or a written submission to info@crippshomes.com. Again, info@crippshomes.com. They do not have to have any tie to Cripps Homes, nor do you or Cripps Realty. Just tell us who you are and who they are and why you think they are deserving. So real estate wise, again, you guys can ask any questions if you like. Otherwise, I will just blab to myself. So real estate, obviously, as many of you know, lots of people are complaining, like the prices of homes are up crazy. So whether they're a first-time buyer or they're looking to sell but then buy somewhere else, obviously everybody likes selling high, but they don't like buying high. So people are complaining about that a lot. And although, detached homes and etc. is all up, the main thing that's up is things that count as like R&R, like rest and relaxation, or cottage properties, or work from home properties, or remote properties. So basically anything cottage related is what has gone up the most, okay? It's literally skyrocketed. So I'll go over all of those numbers with you guys. So it doesn't mean that their average price is higher than, for example, Vancouver or Toronto. It just means the amount of homes that is selling is way higher. So let's just say, like, again, I'll do the numbers later, but let's just say Toronto was up 16.3%, but then like a cottage country place is up like 224%. Not, again, their average sales price, but the number of homes selling. So what they normally sell a few, dozen, and now like hundreds and thousands are selling. So that's what's up, okay? But I'll explain all of that to you guys. So I'll do a bunch of different areas, for example. So Owen Sound, okay? So Owen Sound last year, the average sales price was just over 432,000, and that's not for waterfront. And now this year it's 646 and change for non-waterfront, which is over 44.9% higher. Again, it's more rural. People are like, I don't, need to be in the city anymore. I can work from home. My kids want more space, a backyard, etc. So they're moving. And the dollar value of sales for homes in 2021 last month in Owen Sound, for example, was $217.9 million, which was more than double last year, and it was their highest month ever recorded. Not just that month, but like January, February, March, April, May, June, etc. Highest ever, and it was up over 123% over last year. So that was an Owen Sound, and oh yeah, I said that. Okay, so Bank of Montreal, for example. So sometimes I say some stuff about the Bank of Canada. This was from the Bank of Montreal. So the Bank of Montreal, they don't think that the cottage country is going to stay like this. Everybody obviously has different, so different economists say different things. Majority of economists have said that if there is a dip in the market, it'll be a small blip, and others say there won't be a dip at all. But Bank of Montreal just put out a press release, and they thought that there's a slight cottage bubble because they think with vaccinations and then more inventory, they don't think it's going to be able to stay up like this. But again, time will tell, and every economist thinks differently, and they're also not economists. So I did... what's it called? Owen Sound. So Kawartha Lakes, which is east of Lake Simcoe, they saw a 36.9% jump on their average sales price. So not the number of homes sold, but their average sales price went up over 36.9% over last year, the same month. Their total sales volume was over $137 million, which was just like Owen Sound, more than double. It was 238% more homes than sold, more homes than sold last year, which is crazy. 238% more homes sold in Kawartha Lakes, okay, last month. And then if we look at cottage country, which they categorize as Muskoka, Haliburton, Parry Sound. So the average home there is now $536,100 to be exact, which is up over 42% over last year. And non-waterfront there, if we divide them, they sold 247.6 million dollar value worth of homes last month, which is over 175% over their 2020. And that was their new record month ever that they've ever had there. And then their waterfront homes were up over 64% in Haliburton, Muskoka, Parry Sound, etc. And if we jump over to Peterborough and on that neck of the woods, their average sales price is now over $744,000, which is up over 59% over last year. Again, so people are just moving out of Toronto, moving out of the city because they want to get to the rural properties. So people have asked, like, it's a spring it's a hot spring market. Do people think it'll continue to be a hot summer market? And everybody can, in unison basically has said yes. So if we look at Southern Georgian Bay, so that would be Collingwood and Wasaga, their average sales price is now $592 and change, which is up over 40.8% over last year. And I'm jumping around a lot. I apologize, but if anybody's watched this before, I do that a lot. Some people asked me about an article that was popped up about a week ago. It was about a couple in Hamilton, and they said, like, oh, we had to live in our basement because of this realtor for 5 months. And in reality, so I read the article, and they had sold their house already and moved into the basement of their friend's house. And then they offered on a house and they got outbid, and they continued to live at their friend's basement. Like, to me, that's not something crazy. You already lived there before. It wasn't because of anything. You got outbid by somebody. So what, it's not that agent's fault that you couldn't pay more. It sucks. I get it. It is frustrating right now being a buyer. But if you are on both ends, buyer and seller, at least you're getting lots when you sell. And you're buying in an even market, not an even market, the same market, right? If you're selling in one market but buying in a different market is different. But when you're doing both ends in the same market, then it obviously just balances out, right? Okay, so they were showing statistics on what the average person spends once they buy a house is just over $66,000. Thanks, Melissa, my casual, messy hair. What's that? Pebbles from the Flintstones. I feel like I look like Pebbles. I didn't have to meet anybody in person today, so hence the look. So the average person spends over 66,122 to be exact. And basically what they're buying, is like paint, furniture. They're spending lawyers' fees, perhaps like redoing a deck or redoing a bathroom, movers, etc. And so basically, because obviously, real estate then feeds other things, because then you're feeding the contractors, you're feeding the movers, and so forth, the landscapers, etc. So, it was guessed that the first half of this year obviously has been crazy. It's not thought that the second half will be as crazy, and then they think that next year will go back to normal. They don't mean normal as in lower prices. They just mean not the craziness that it is now. They still expect prices to continue to go up just because of all the amount of immigrants coming in and just the lack of demand. So if you guys have watched this in the past, I say how many homes they say that they need for the amount of people that live in Ontario, and then baby boomers kids at the age that they're buying homes. There just is not enough inventory, and the new builds cannot keep up with it. So it's not expected to go down next year. It's just not supposed to be as crazy, okay? And I'm jumping back to those extras that people are spending. So the extras that they're spending basically in 2020 was around 36.27 billion with a B. How much money they spent. They think in 2021 they're going to spend around 46.42 billion, which is up over 27% over 2020. And yes, bun life, Melissa. So this is kind of real estate, but I'm just jumping again. I jump a lot. You guys know like what a Quonset hut is, right? Those like semicircle hut things, and basically like a lot of people use them in more rural properties like garages or what have you. So there was a designer in Detroit, and he took a $9,000 abandoned Quonset hut that used to just be used for farming, supplies and so forth, and he turned it into 8 apartments for low income, and there was also 2 commercial properties in there, so a yoga studio went in and an art gallery, and because obviously it was cheaper to build than a new build, that's why he was able to do the low income. It was fully leased before it even came to the market. And all of the properties inside had, or the apartments had 24-foot ceilings. And because they were all in the arch, they got like the sunrise in their bedroom in the morning and then the sunset in their living room in the afternoon. So maybe we will see that popping up here. Who knows? Quonset huts, apartments, possibly around here at some point. Okay, so the average sales price in Ontario last month was $8.90 and $35, which is crazy. That is over $174,000 over the average throughout Canada. So obviously Ontario, this person has called me 5 times already today in the past hour. It's an agent that I'm doing a deal with, but she's not very patient. So again, the average sales price in Ontario over $890,000. So basically, it's almost twice as expensive to buy a house in Ontario as it is in Nova Scotia, for example. However, Ontario is not the most expensive province or territory to buy. If you guys had to guess, I'm not sure if you would, but most likely I'm sure you would probably guess BC, which is correct. However, Ontario is only $55,000 behind their average sales price, okay? So Ontario is the second most expensive province or territory to live in Canada. So that is that. So back to like typical cottage country. Again, I jump around a lot. 87.7% more homes sold last month that were not waterfront than the year before, the exact same time. And on the waterfront, 223.1% more waterfront homes sold last month than last year, the same month, which is insane. So not their average sales price, but the number of homes that sold, which is crazy. Again, that's waterfront, more than 223% more homes sold in Muskoka, Haliburton, Parry Sound last month, okay? The non-waterfront homes averaged last month 606,000, which was up over 44%, and the waterfronts averaged 872,000 and change, which was up over 64.5% over last year. So I'm sure lots of people wish that they bought a bunch of waterfront properties last year to sell this year. So build our fence next year, Melissa. What was I saying that you were saying about that? Sorry. I don't remember what I was saying about that. I don't know how Baloo's going to run around in the backyard if you don't have a fence, though. They have a very large yard that they're moving to, and they have a very big dog that needs to run around. This is a random thing, not really house related, but kind of like community related. In Copenhagen, if I said that right, in Denmark, they are making these man-made little islands, which I think would be super cool in Barrie and Simcoe. For example, like our bouncy thing that we normally have in the summer, only us and BC has that. It's not like everywhere. So maybe it'd be cool and we could get it first, but they have like this special stuff underneath that the algae and seaweed like, so then the fish come to it so people can snorkel. And basically these little man-made islands that they have you know, hammocks and picnic benches, and they have saunas and little cafes and stuff, and they're all free for people to use. And obviously it would just be cute. So I don't know if it'll ever happen here, but just a random side note from myself. So GTA's stats just came in today. So 13,663 homes changed hands in April, which is up over 362% of April of 2020. Okay, so obviously the pandemic and et cetera, being announced in March, and then in April. So again, only a little over a year into it, and 362% more homes have sold. Last year, the same month, so in April, there was only 2,957 homes that sold, so just shy of 3,000, and now it was just shy of 14,000, same month, only a year later. The average sales price is now just shy of 1.1 million at $1,090,000 in the GTA, which is up over 33% over last year, which was only 820 and change. Okay. So locally in Barrie, in the last 24 hours, there's been 17 new listings, 1 conditionally sold, 14 went firm, 9 people got keys, which means they bought previously and then firmed up. Not firmed up, bought previously and got their keys in the last 24 hours, and 4 people canceled. So feel free if you guys want to ask any questions in here. Hi, Scotty, how are you? In Barrie, in the last 7 days, there has been 69 new listings, 2 back on the market, which mean they conditionally sold, but then somebody didn't get financing or didn't like the inspection or something. 8 conditionally sold, 88 sold firm. So there was only 69 new listings, but 88 sold firm, which doesn't make sense, but that's because people were buying ones that had been listed longer than a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, etc. That's how that works. 153 people got keys. Again, most people don't like to move when there's a foot of snow. They obviously like moving more at this time of year, but specifically end of June and in July as well, it'll be even crazier. 9 people decreased their price in the last week, and 9 people increased and 2 people decreased their price. In condos in Barrie in the last week, there was 14 new listings, 7 were conditional, 17 sold firm, 42 got their keys, and 2 decreased prices. You're saying, Melissa, things going back to normal. I'm not saying like prices of wood and stuff. I'm just saying like in the real estate market, not the craziness. ESSA, in the last 7 days, there was 9 new listings, 1 conditionally sold, 15 sold firm, which is, again, people are then going into the week before and the week before that's inventory. 17 people got their keys. And in Innisfil, in the last week, there's been 16 new listings. 2 deals fell apart, 6 conditionally sold, 20 sold firm. Again, still our lack of inventory because 20 are selling, but only 16 were listed. 30 people got keys to their property, and 1 person increased their price. In Oro, in the last week, 10 people listed their property, 2 conditionally sold, 11 sold firm. Again, so more are selling than are listing, so going into the old inventory. 15 people got their keys, and 2 people decreased their price, and 3 canceled. And lastly, Springwater, 11 new listings, 1 back on the market, 3 conditionally sold, 9 sold firm, and 12 people got their keys. So next question. Jacqueline and Trent in Aurelia. We're currently living in my wife's parents' home, saving hopefully to eventually move into our own home. I'm afraid we will never get in. Do you think we should keep saving or try to get in as soon as we can? Thank you for asking, Jacqueline and Trent. It is obviously, like I said, super frustrating if you're only on the buy end right now. However, it's not expected to go down. Like I said before, if you were listening, the odd economist said that there might be a blip, but short-lived, but then there's tons of economists that say that it's not going to happen. So if, for example, you waited and then the house that currently you could afford right now is 600 and then it's 720 and you've saved an extra 10,000, it's not going to help in the mortgage wise that 10,000, right? Like you maybe were approved for 600 and now you're approved for 630, for example, and now you can't buy that 720, or maybe they put in new stress tests and so forth, and now your 600 drops down to 550 or something like that. Oh, thanks, Alex. Alex's house sold, I forget if it was last night or no, it was the night before. So out in Angus, lovely property. They had 10 offers on their home. And he's saying because the house across the street's been for sale forever. And it's similar, and we sold it, and they didn't get their price, which was what we got, the same. So that's what he's saying. But thank you, Alex. Sorry, Jacqueline and Trent. So I was saying about not getting in. So I personally would just try and get in now. See, and if, for example, see everything. So see your debt to service ratio and see what you can clean up. So if, for example, you don't have the greatest credit, try and get your credit under control. If you were about to switch jobs, don't switch jobs until you move. Try and always pay everything. Like don't be a week late, don't be 2 weeks late, etc. Try to save like as much as you can. But again, usually the homes, like 95% of the time, if not more, they save faster than people can physically save. So if you can get into a home, but maybe you could get into a home, maybe your in-laws could sign as a co-signer, or maybe you guys could get a basement apartment and you could rent that way, and you could rent out the basement for $1,700, and it would help. Let's just say your mortgage is $1,900, you were planning on spending or paying it all, just the two of you. Now you can have somebody paying $1,700, and then you can save that much more to possibly buy another property or to move up to a nicer property or nicer neighborhood or whatever. So I would try and get in as soon as you can, but I don't know your whole financial situation. And just, be careful and cautious when you're buying, that you don't buy strictly based on your emotion and so forth, that you truly look at the numbers and you look at it, like step back and you're like, okay, it's all brick, or it's in a good neighborhood or whatever. Don't just be like frantic in the mad dash with everybody. Okay. Oh, Scotty put their sold sign up today. Thank you. But thank you, Jacqueline and Trent, for asking. If you want to chat privately out of here, I can do that as well with you, just because I don't want to take everybody's time. There was obviously some kids when they're young and they draw, with with chalk, and do hopscotch. But there's this little girl who's 5 that's become quite well known where she lives, and they have a black garage door. And basically her mom since 2020 has been letting her draw whatever she wants on the garage door. So twice a week, depending, unless it rains, she does it more than twice a week. She draws like motivational things and happy messages to her neighbors and so forth. And at first people didn't think it was from a 5-year-old because it's up a bit high, but she has a stool. So then as people started to, see her and post pictures about her, they realized it was really this little girl. So they started to drop off presents and thank you notes and inspiration and what have you. So I just thought that was cute. The next question comes from Rocco from Innisfil. Rocco from Innisfil said, if someone won the $2,500, could they pay it forward to someone else they think is more deserving? Hi, Rocco. I don't know if you know the lady that won in Innisfil, if that's who you're talking about, because the most recent winner on Saturday was from Innisfil. But yeah, she can. We don't specifically say, like, even though we say we're paying your rent or we're paying your mortgage, in reality, when the cameras stop, we just give them a check for $2,500. They could give it to whoever they want. They could buy food with it. They could buy clothes with it. They could whatever with it. Doesn't necessarily have to go to their mortgage or their rent. So they could give it to another neighbor or a friend or somebody they work with or somebody that needs it more than they think they do. For sure, it doesn't have to be that person. But thank you for asking, and feel free to nominate whoever you like this month, and you can nominate multiple people, just so you are aware. Next thing is McDonald's. I know, Scotty, you like McDonald's. I like McFlurries. There was a little boy basically who's like been obsessed with McDonald's his whole life. He's autistic, and 2 years ago he lives in a city that had a hurricane, and it got destroyed, the McDonald's, and the sign fell down. So his mom posted something to find out like who owned the McDonald's, to see if they would let them take the kind of destroyed sign and try and rebuild it and so forth. And so they found who that was. The person said, yes, you can have the sign. and they own other McDonald's, so they brought this autistic boy into their other restaurants and had like a little like work day that he thought was really fun. And then fast forward 2 years later, so we're now COVID and etc. And they thought of him for some reason. I think he's still bringing in pictures. He draws all these arches all the time and brings them in when he visits with his mom. And anyways, this couple that owns these 7 McDonald's, they bought his mother a car to help take him to treatment and to school, and they loaded it with like art supplies because he loves to draw. So I thought that was super cute. Okay, Alex, sounds good. The next question is from Scott in Holland Landing. So Scott in Holland Landing said, my girlfriend read your book on investing and your other one, I'm not sure what it's about, but she's determined now to change careers and start investing. She doesn't know I wrote in any pointers you could give me to pass along to her. Thank you, Scott, for writing in for her. I'd be happy to talk to her on the phone if she wants, or email if she's more shy. For switching jobs, if she's trying to buy a house, I wouldn't suggest it right now. Not just like, not saying COVID, but just because when banks look at people, they look at like their debt to service ratio. So how much they make versus how much they spend. They look at their credit score and they look at their jobs. So if she just switched, for example, from a nurse to a sales rep or vice versa or anything, they don't like switches of jobs. Okay. So even if she was sales rep to another sales rep, but it's still sales rep, they still count it as a new job. So if she's trying to invest, I would not suggest her switching jobs until after she's bought the property, just so you know, okay? And then as for advice on the other end, obviously that's hard to sum up into a short little answer, but I would see what she wants to do, if she wants to flip or if she wants to buy properties and keep them short-term, have short-term rentals or have long-term rentals. And if she read the book, I'm sure she's seen all of the benefits of both. But again, I'd be happy to go over them with her. Some people like to say, okay, I want to have an X return. I want to make X money a month. I want to have, I don't want to make anything as long as I can retire and then have it paid off in full. Everybody has different expectations, but I can go over all of that with her, and just so I don't take everybody's time. But thank you. That's very sweet of you for reaching out for her. Have a great night, Alex. Congrats on your sale. Anyways, stay safe, everybody. Thank you for popping in. Stay kind to one another. Go after your dreams. And thank you for popping in.